Number one rule of success is spend 90% of your time prospecting. The wrong way to spend your time is designing business cards, watching videos, rearranging your desk, building websites, creating logos. The right way is having conversations. These are the activities that create results, talking to people, calling homeowners, following up with leads, hosting open houses, and asking for appointments. The result, appointments, listings, closing, income by doing the right activities when you're prospecting. And 90% of your time in real estate should be spent prospecting. Again, you're spending 90% of your time. You don't want to do these specific items of designing business cards, rearranging your desk, building websites, or creating logos. They're all really just ways to avoid doing the job that really needs to be done. How do the top agents spend their time? And I know a lot of top agents, and here's how they spend their time: talking to people, whether you're talking about Rich Abrams, who goes and knocks on doors, one of the most successful real estate brokers in southern part of Middlesex County, making cold calls or warm calls to homeowners. Susan Mockery, one of the top real estate brokers in southeastern Middlesex County, makes phone calls every day, following up with leads. The guys on the Matthew Roack team or the Rob Dukansky team, they actually have a system where there's a person in their office who yells at them for not following up leads. Hosting open houses. And again, when you host an open house, the object of the open house is to get more people signed up as leads and asking for appointments. Very good agents, what they do all the time is ask for more appointments. The formula is you're going to prospect, which leads to appointments, which leads to listings, which leads to closings, which leads to income. And you should be prospecting for about 20 hours per week. Now, you're part-time, and so how much time do you have to prospect? It's hard to make any money unless you're prospecting, a certain amount of minimum hours per week. There are paid leads you can get, and the paid lead sources have a cost per lead. Seller Appointment Hub, I use that. The cost per lead is $100. Takes 30 leads to get one listing. So you multiply 30 times 100, it costs you $3,000 to get a listing. Market Leader, $75 a lead. One listing results from 30 leads, so it's a little bit less expensive. Google pay per click, between $50 and $200 a lead. Some of the top real estate teams use this. It's one listing per 20 to 40 leads. So let's say you're paying $100 a lead. It could cost you $4,000 to get a transaction. Facebook leads can be as little as $14. I'm generating Facebook leads now for $12 a lead, but they have a low conversion. We are running through a Facebook leads ad. We are running webinars once a month for buyers and once a month for sellers. I don't know if you sat in on the last webinar, but the next one is going to be next week on Friday, I think it is, or Thursday. Let me just see what the date is. The next webinar is going to be when we've got about 30 people who signed up for it already. It's going to be next Thursday at 7 p.m. If you want to just sit in on it. Again, the people are signing up automatically on my Facebook system. I also deal with HomeLight for seller leads. They don't charge up front, but they charge a 33% referral fee when it closes. Fast Expert, I deal with them. Maybe one deal a year from each of these. Referral fee is about 33%. And, I also have Glenn Beck Agents I Trust, and Real Estate Bees is another one I pay for leads. They all come out to about the same price. Zillow now has a new system where you can buy listing leads from Zillow, but they don't sell them to agents that aren't top producers. So those are all ways to get leads by paying for them. And you shouldn't be doing that. It's not time for you to pay for leads. The best source of leads are free. And here's some free prospecting sources. Of course, your sphere of influence is free, and that has the highest success rate. Open houses are free, very high success rate. One of the new agents in the office, Leo, held an open house in Highland Park a week ago. Uh, 3 people came to the open house, but one of them said, "Hey, I'd like to sell my house, and I just wanted to see what prices were like in this area." And so Leo got an appointment to go to that woman's house to interview for a listing appointment because of his open house. Expired listings is another way that you could generate leads. And we're going to talk about how to do expireds in just a couple of minutes. For sale by owners, again, another free way to generate leads. Where can you get for sale by owners? Zillow has for sale by owners on their website. Past clients is a very big opportunity. Remember, we had those closing statements that we gave to you earlier, and we said that you should send them a letter with the closing statement saying that now that they've bought their property, it's gone way up in value. If they may want to sell it, there's a closing statement. It might help you in your taxes later on. It's the reason we were doing that. The best source of leads are referrals, of course, and they give you the highest success rate. Social media is giving some kind of success rate, and social media is actually changing on what works the best because people aren't really searching on Google anymore. And you might want to start putting stuff together to put on ChatGPT because now people are asking ChatGPT who to use for real estate agents. And community events are free. A couple of weeks ago, Lee and I went to the Highland Park High School Senior Awards Night and gave out two $200 scholarships. Now, so it cost me $400 to be in front of everybody in Highland Park High School and their parents. So for me, that is a bargain for $400 to get to appear in person before all those people. One of the really cool things is as where Lee is filming all this for me, so we can use it to make social media clips out of it. You can hear in one of her videos somebody saying, "Who is that guy?" And you can hear the other person say, "Oh, that's Bruce Parker. He does real estate." Well, that's exactly what I want to have happen. I want people to just say, "Oh, that's Bruce," and I want people to say, "That's when you're doing it, that they know your name and they know your face, and they can say, 'Oh, that's her.'" So that's the best way to prospect is from your free sources. And again, they could keep you busy trying to move forward with those. Most profitable source, of course, is referrals from people who you already know and who trust you. Now, how do you get those referrals? You ask for them. You all the time tell people, "Hey, do you know anybody who's thinking of selling their home now or in the near future? Are you thinking of selling your home now or in the near future?" And you'd be surprised how often they'd be willing to tell you about a friend they know who's thinking of selling. Then your next statement should be, if if they were to ask you who to use, would you recommend me? Or you could also say to them, "Hey, do you mind if I give them a call and see if I can help them anyway?" Again, referrals from people who you already know and trust. Very, very big source of free leads. Now, we talked about spending 20 hours a week prospecting. Well, you're part-time. So if you spend 5 hours a week prospecting, you could expect to generate about a listing once a month. So 10 hours prospecting, 5 hours a week prospecting, have 10 conversations, which could lead to one appointment, somewhere between 0 and 1 listings. If you were to prospect for 20 hours a week, you could expect to have 20 conversations. That would lead to 2 appointments and probably to 1 listing. That's about all you could really hope to do with your schedule and your workload. But, it's still doable. Rule is more conversations, more appointments. Now, you should also be prospecting through social media. And your daily activities are going to take you about an hour a day. You want to post one market update, and that's easy to do. Just look on the MLS and say what just came on the market or what just closed. Post one personal story. That's pretty easy. You've got 4 kids. There's always a story you can post. Comment on 20 local posts. So you're going to go into social media and you're going to look at other people's posts and you're going to comment on their posts. Again, all that stuff gives you more SEO opportunities where people may just stumble across you. And you should send 10 direct messages. Also, you should create 1 short video. And the more videos you create, the better off it is. Videos can be very simple. I film videos about the dumbest stuff and post it. I filmed a video one day about how messy somebody's house was when I went to show it, and it got a whole bunch of hits. I also showed a video one day of walking out of a field of corn, and it got a lot of hits. Now, shooting a video a day is pretty easy. You don't have to be a pro. What you do have to have when you're shooting videos to post on social media is have good sound. So maybe one of the tools you should invest in is a nice microphone for your cell phone. I use a wired mic, a lapel mic that hooks up to my collar on my shirt. I run it down through my shirt, and then it has a 10-foot cord. So either Lee can film it for me from 10 feet away, or I can hold my hand out 5 feet away and film and have perfect sound. You don't want to have the wind whistling as you're filming things or background noise, and the microphone certainly works. In our office, the new guy, Leo, he has wired microphones, and he has a tripod kind of selfie stick that also has a gimbal on it. That gimbal gives you a very steady looking pictures. This stuff is almost video quality, like it's in the movies. And again, it keeps building and building and building. Social media, the more you post, the more you build, the more views you get, the more exposure you get. Great things to post. You could post market updates. What just selling in your market, what prices. You could post new listings. They don't have to be your listing. They could just be something new that's on the market. You could post when there's open houses, whether it's our listings, your listings, or any listings. Post that there's an open house. Home values. We have two systems where you could post a link that will drive people to a place that will give them home values. You can post that. You can post community events that might be happening and show where in your community, South River, they're having a community event. One of the things I always wanted to film and post was a home value link that brought you to a YouTube video where the link, brought you to a video that was a movie that said, this is really stupid, you clicking on the computer to find your home's value. The better thing to do is to call me, let me come over your house and see exactly what's in your house and to see exactly what the comparables in your neighborhood are. Are you going to just trust a click on a button that tells you it could be plus or minus 15%, or do you really want a pro to come in? So that's a video I've got on my list that I'm going to shoot someday. And when people click on what's my home worth, they're going to see that video. So many people click on these things, and the leads are their contacts, but their leads, you need a lot of them to develop into something. I also filmed a whole video about living in Highland Park. It's about a 7-minute long video. It's made up of a lot of short little things where I took pictures of different locations in Highland Park, different neighborhoods, and I posted that. What's really cool about these things on YouTube, when you post it, it's forever there. They call them, they're evergreen marketing. In other words, every now and then somebody's just going to stumble on it. And we want them to just stumble on it because it's, again, gets my face everywhere. How did we edit this? We edit it on the YouTube editor, which is free. We put it all together, and it's a nice little video. I also created a website for Highland Park, highlandparknewjersey.com, and I'm posting things that go on in Highland Park, New Jersey. Now, we can help you set up a South River one. You could do living in South River, and you could become the South River experts. Now, look at these views on these things. Here's a simple little video. I don't mind looking like a fool, but I got 1.2 thousand views. For inventory is tight, there's only 9 homes on the market in Highland Park. Here's a Highland Park career fair I did, where I went to the job fair at Highland Park High School. Here's a video I just did, said, here's the Main Street headquarters in Highland Park, 1,100 views. And here's something I found out a Highland Park resident had worked on the DNA project with Watson and Crick. I posted just a little thing about that and 827 views. Now, these things, the views, they all add up because eventually people are going to be searching Highland Park and they're just going to see something with my face in it and something, with my name in it. You could do the same thing in South River really easily. Next thing is expired listings. And expired listings are a really good way, especially to get leads for newer people. And why newer people? Because they're hard. No doubt about it, they're hard. So how do you get an expired listing? How do you find out about it? We're going to get to that in a minute, and then I'll show you exactly the system for getting into expired listings. By the way, all of these cartoonish slides were all made up on ChatGPT. For years, I would play around with hiring um, graphic artists, and they charged me $1 million to do this kind of stuff. So you didn't get a lot done. But ChatGPT, it's so easy to get any of this stuff done now. If you don't know how to do it, I'll show you how to work with ChatGPT, but it's really easy. But anyway, expireds is a good place to look for potential sellers. Now, why do expireds listings work? Because the owner already wants to sell. You know he wants to sell. So I have lots of scripts for expired listings. I can send you some more scripts, but it's as simple as this. Hi, this is Bruce Parker with Best Realty. I noticed your home came off the market, and I was wondering if you still plan to sell. And then just be quiet and wait. Let them tell you what they want to tell you. And no matter what they say, yes, no, ask them the next question anyway. If I could show you a different marketing approach that might get your home sold, would you be open to a brief conversation? And then once you get them talking to you, all you want to do is ask them questions that don't require a yes or no answer. You want to ask them questions that are open ended, like, why do you think your home didn't sell the first time? Or where are you going to go when your home gets sold? Or what's going to happen if you don't sell your home? Those are all open ended questions that make them give you an answer. And the more you can get conversation going back and forth with people, the more connection you eventually have. And I'm going to show you at the end of this video exactly how to search for expired listings the easy way in South River. So again, what are you going to do? You're doing your prospecting 90% of your time. You're going to sit in your office and make phone calls, and you're going to listen. You're going to express to people that you care. You're going to solve their problems, and you're going to get results. So again, it's hard work, and you got to remember you're helping people, even though they may be upset that you're bothering them. You're actually offering to help them with something. So you want to make sure you try to have a conversation going. One of the things you can always tell them is, listen, I got buyers waiting. I've got other buyers that didn't buy the house I was showing them, and they're still looking. It would be great to get your house back on the market so I could expose it to those people. Next thing, you might want to prospect for sale by owners. Everybody who's a for sale by owner is selling, and for sale by owners stay on the market usually about 2 to 3 weeks, and then they list. Most of them don't sell without getting listed. Questions you can ask them is, why are you selling? Where are you moving? When do you need to be there? Again, you notice they're all open-ended questions. And what can you offer them right away in terms of value? You could offer them to come in, give them another estimate of the value of the home and see if they're priced correctly. You could give them a copy of my 88-page system for selling their home, my 88-step system for selling their home. It's on 18 pages, the Parker process. Or you could give them our book on how to sell your home for top dollar. All things that you could provide to those people to give them something of value to keep them considering using you potentially to sell their home. And here's the bad news, that when you're working a for sale by owner, you're going to have to contact people a lot of times because everybody's contacting them. So who usually ends up getting the listing? The one who contacts them the last or the most. So again, contacting for sale by owners, you're going to have to sometimes take a little abuse from them because they're all going to tell you, I'm not hiring an agent, but half of them will end up hiring an agent. So simple prospecting through handwritten notes is a very good tool for prospecting. When I send out handwritten notes, I get these little tiny envelopes, and I write a handwritten note in the envelope. No return address, no special marking on the envelope, and then people open it because they assume that it's an invitation, and instead it's a handwritten note. Now, I read that President Bush sends out 5 personal handwritten notes a day, and he's done it for his entire adult life. He credits that to a lot of his success. From time to time, I'll try to do that. I'll try to send out 5 a day. Just find 5 different people I can send a thank you note to or a sample little personal note to. And again, it's just something that you might want to do. It doesn't really cost you much more than a first-class stamp. I always write them out by hand. I don't you can see the envelope here shows that it has a return address. I don't put a return address on it because I want them to open the envelope. So if it looks like it's an invitation, then they'll go ahead and open the envelope. And anytime you have a conversation with anybody, when you're cold calling FSBOs or you're calling expireds or you're just calling through a call list, anybody with whom you have a conversation, send them a handwritten note. Now, you also want to look at people who are on the path to being foreclosed. Those are people who have had a lis pendens filed against them. And you can find those to some extent on Zillow. You can find those on homes.com. And you can also buy lists of those pre-foreclosures. If you want to work the pre-foreclosures, I subscribe to a system that sends me all the pre-foreclosures, and you can work with them. There's a ton of pre-foreclosures in New Jersey, and towns like South River have more than most towns. So here's a sample dialogue. Hi, my name is Bruce Parker with Best Realty. I help homeowners explore options before foreclosure becomes a bigger problem. Would it be helpful if I showed you ways to potentially protect your equity? And again, people who are in pre-foreclosure, they may not have enough real estate knowledge to know exactly what's going on and where the pathway is headed. But if you're in pre-foreclosure, you are going to sell your house eventually or lose it. Because once you trash your credit, nobody's lending you money. And the qualifications for loans now have gotten stricter. So people who have trashed their credit by getting behind in their mortgage, never going to be able to solve the problem. So how long does it take for them to decide they're going to sell? Well, sometimes it takes, 5 years, because it takes 5 years to foreclose. So sometimes you have to keep in touch with them for 5 years. But in the last year or so, we have actually had pre-foreclosures because of this system that we use end up listing their homes with us because they know that if they just hang on, they're going to get kicked out of their house anyway. And at least if they work now and put their house on the market now, whatever equity they have, they can preserve, and we might be able to put a check in their pocket. That makes them happy. This is what they don't want to have happen. They don't want the sheriff to come up and put the foreclosure notice on their house. It's embarrassing. They advertise your name in the newspaper, and you may lose control of when you have to move out. And that's very, very stressful to everybody. If they listen to you and they take your advice and they do what you say, you could end up getting them, a check for their equity, and you could maybe get them move out money from the bank. So once they go through the process of list pendants and they get closer to the sheriff's sale, eventually they're going to get to the sheriff's sale. So you can look up who is scheduled for sheriff's sales, and you can market to them also. Typical dialogue for that would be, hi, I noticed your property is scheduled for a sheriff's sale. Many homeowners don't realize there may still be options available. Would you like information about the possible alternatives before the sale date? And what are the alternatives? To sell the house. And we've gotten people who are scheduled on the sheriff's sale. We have gotten the sheriff's sale postponed for them for 2 postponements, and then got them a contract on their house. And then when the deal didn't close in time, we got the judge at the Middlesex County Courthouse to extend the adjournment for another month and got it closed anyway, even though we didn't make it in time. So we know how to do that. So you can tell people we know how to do that. So again, a traditional sale is an option. A short sale is an option. Back in the year 2007, 2008, about half of all our transactions were short sales. The short sale is we convince the bank or the lender to accept less money than they're owed. And there's a technique to that, and there's a process. We can also get, in some cases, loan modifications done. Some of the big banks got fined for some of the stuff they did by redlining and by not modifying loans, especially for minorities. They got gigantic fines in the billions of dollars. But because banks and the government kind of are crooks, the way they let them pay back the fine was by allowing people to modify their mortgage so that they could, if they were way behind in their mortgage, the banks could use the money that was supposed to go for the fine to catch up on the mortgage and modify the mortgage. So there's also an alternative that might be available to some people. And we can also sometimes get the lender to reinstate the loan on its original terms. And so that might also be able to stop the sheriff sale from happening. So again, just dialogue to educate people, inform people. You know they've got a problem. We're trying to give them a way to solve their problem. And sometimes they can walk away with a check. So at 105 Tudison Road in Rutgers Village, exactly that scenario. Scheduled on the sheriff's sale. We postponed the sheriff's sale. We got it listed. We got a buyer. The buyer couldn't quite close in time. We got the judge to extend the deadline for the sheriff's sale another month. We got closed. The homeowner got a check. I got a check. The bank got a check. Everybody was happy. Now, there's 10 more here, unusual places that you might prospect. I've got two dogs, two Springer Spaniels. We take them to the dog parks. We talk to everybody. We take them for walks. If I was a young guy and I had a cute looking dog, and I have a really cute looking dog, I would take that dog out to parks all the time because girls always come over and want to talk to about the dog or pet the dog. Certainly is a good way to pick up people. But anyway, it's also a good way to pick up clients. I also have, you've got your four children. You're probably involved in sports to some extent. I was always coaching my son's basketball teams and, got to know all the other parents. I would do things like I would wear a name tag to the games, or I'd wear my best hat to the game. I'm one of the best hats. And if you don't have an I'm one of the best hats, we'll give you one. You can wear that to the games. Lee used to attend the PTA meetings, make sure that everybody knew that we were real estate agents. Highland Park has a farmer's market every Friday. So we'd go to the farmer's market. Our church events are something that we would also attend. I got a listing one time. My church in New Brunswick, in the coldest weeks of the winter, would participate in this program where every week the church in New Brunswick would allow the homeless to sleep in the church to keep warm instead of going to the homeless shelter if the homeless shelter was full. So I spent a week sleeping in the church in the coldest nights of the winter, to keep watch over the homeless people that were in the church. But everybody who was there, all of the other participants that were there to help, I talk with them, let them all know I'm a real estate agent, a real estate broker, and can I help them sell their homes? And I got a listing in New Brunswick from it. Also, Rotary clubs or service clubs are a really good opportunity for you to get referrals from people you know. Local coffee shops and local businesses are a really good place. I went to Valley National Bank since 1990, to the same Valley National Bank. And I knew one of the tellers in there very well because she was there from about 1998 or something until just recently. And one day I came in and she said, Bruce, can you help me sell my house? So all those years from going into the bank instead of just going through the drive-through and always, telling everybody that the market's great, giving them handing my card out. Again, her name was Cindy. She lived in Milltown, and she lived on Blueberry in Milltown. She listed her house with me just from me sticking my nose into that shop every day. Home Depot, another good place to prospect for free. Home Depot, I have handed out my cards when I'm in Home Depot if I see somebody picking up a for sale sign for their house or a for sale by owner sign for their house. Also, I stalk many of the community Facebook groups. I'm in a I'm from Highland Park Facebook group. I'm in a You're from New Brunswick Facebook group, and I post in there, again, just to get my face and my name and my reputation out as many places as I can. Senior centers are another good place, and the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of the United States is coming up when all the baby boomers downsize, sell their houses, or die. And so where are they before they sell their houses, downsize, or die? They're at senior centers. I've hosted lunches at senior centers for just the price of donuts. And then I've had an insurance person come in and talk about nursing home insurance and talk about other prospects for financial care, and hosted the event, no money out of my pocket because the insurance people paid for it. And I used to call that how to never have to leave your house and stay in your home forever. That was the name of my program, and they all would come because it sounded like a good idea. And when everybody got through telling them how hard it is to keep your house and how expensive taxes are and how easy it is to move, you would get people who eventually would use you and think that let me call Bruce if I'm going to move. Um, One of the things to remember is in New Jersey, everybody knows someone who's getting ready to move. Everybody knows somebody who's getting ready to move. And how do you find that out? You ask them, are you thinking of moving now or in the near future? Do you know anybody who's thinking of moving now or in the near future? Again, you want to be part of the community. You want to be the local expert in the community. And I can think of more ways than these 10 that we have down here. And I've worked on all of these in the past. And I know they all work. You're going to be in a lot of places with 4 children. You're going to be in a lot of places. So when you're there, you're going to be prospecting. Your daily success for your daily formula for success, try to have 20 conversations a day, 10 follow-ups, 5 social media interactions, 2 handwritten notes, and try to get 1 appointment set per day. Now you're part-time, so if you can get an appointment set a week, that would be great. You can do appointments now via Zoom. It's the greatest thing in the world because you don't have to necessarily be at somebody's house. FaceTime is another great way to have an appointment. Have a FaceTime appointment with somebody. So again, you could do that while you're driving in your car, picking up your kids. Your kids are in the car. All my kids have been in the car when I've negotiated all kinds of real estate transactions. And you know that's for a long time we've been involved with real estate. All right, so all stuff that's easy to do. So the best plan, and from Best Realty, the best plan, spend the next 90 days with consistent prospecting that leading toward career success. Talk to people, talk to people, talk to people, talk to people. Follow up, follow up, follow up, send handwritten notes and ask for appointments and repeat. The thing that drives your income is activity. Being the smartest person doesn't. Being the person with the best artwork doesn't. Just activity is what actually drives the best rewards. Okay, so that's the end of the formalized training session that I am trying to get. We're not done with it yet. I'm still working on it, trying to get better. And let's see if I can get to the right place here now. Wrong place. Let's see if I get to the right place here now. Unfortunately, still the wrong place. Now we're in the right place. Okay. So you're going to go into All Jersey MLS. All Jersey MLS. I hope you've learned how to sign into there. If not, tell me and I'll show you that. But we're in All Jersey MLS. I'm going to go up here to the right to searches. Okay, and I'm going to do a search here. And I'm going to do a custom search. Doesn't necessarily have to be a custom search, but that's the one I like to work with the best. So we're going to start with South River and we're going to check residential here. And we're just going to do residential so we don't overwhelm ourselves. I'm going to click all of the search buttons. All of the search buttons I'm going to click. Now, I'm going to make it South River, so I'm going to come down here to Middlesex. And then we're going to put in South River down here. A lot of stuff going on in South River, so it's a pretty active town. Now, what we've got here is all the actives coming soon, all the actives in attorney review, all the closed, all the temporary off the market, as long as they came off the market after 12, 27, 25, all the expireds, all the under contracts, all the under contracts continue to show, and all the withdrawals. Let's bring this expired date back a little further, and let's look at everything that expired since 2023. So we're looking at everything that expired since 2023, and we're looking at everything. We're going to change the withdrawals, everything that is withdrawn from 2023. Now we've got everything there, and we're going to click here for view results. And it's thinking. And now here's what it's given us. All the actives, all the attorney reviews, all the under contracts, all the expireds, all the withdrawals. Now, when you're chasing expireds, remember, many times a property has expired, but then it's gotten relisted by somebody else. I'm going on a listing appointment tomorrow. The listing expired today in Sayreville. So it's going to show today expired in Sayreville. Tomorrow, I'm going to list it, knock on wood, and it'll be active tomorrow. So if you were to click on that, it's going to show one expired and one active. That means you can't chase it as an expired because that's against the realtor rules because it's already actively listed with someone else. So we can only chase an expired if it hasn't closed already or if it's not actively listed by someone else. All right, so I've got this whole big list here. It's 194. Now I'm going to come to the address here, street number and name, direction, etc. That's over here. And I'm going to click on it. And that's going to sort this stuff by the addresses. Well, what that does now is we can go right down that list here and we can look at what's temporarily off the market. So we can see the first one is this 14 Alburn Street. It's temporarily off the market. Let's just click on it for a second and see when it was off the market. So it just came off the market now. Now that means you can't go after it because they're still, since it's only temporarily off the market, the listing agreement they have with the listing broker is still in effect. So this one is nothing that can do us any good. So let's go back here. I don't know how to exactly navigate this the quickest way. So we're just going to go back and research it again. And now we want the display here. We want the list. So we're going to display one line here. I'm going to check this here. We're back to our one-line grid. And now what we want to do is we want to resort it again by name. Now you might find a quicker way to do this, but this is the way that I would do it. We're going to come back up here to the top, and here we're back to the same place. We can see 14 Auburn. We can't do anything with that because it's temporarily off the market, but the listing still applies. Now look at the next one. The next one is 11 Alexander. 11 Alexander only shows once. It's not showing twice, and it expired. 11 Alexander only showed once. It's not showing twice, and it expired. So that means it's fair game for you to go after because it hasn't been relisted and it hasn't closed. If it closed with somebody else, then it wouldn't be something that you'd want to chase because it's already closed. So let's look at this on 11 Alexander Court. And what we can see, it expired a year ago, a little more than a year ago, a year and 3 months ago. So this is one that you can go after. Now, what you would do, number one, you can knock on the door. Number two, you can look to see if you can find a name and an address, certain different websites that can do that for you. The least expensive one is Fast People Search. You don't have to pay for that. It can give you some information. Sometimes you can Google it. We don't have phone books anymore. You used to be able to look this stuff up in the phone books. We don't have those anymore. But the worst you could do is send them a handwritten note or knock on their door. So they are somebody who has has the potential for you to now to try to market to, because they have expired. They have expired, but they are not relisted with anyone else. Now let's go down to another one to find one you shouldn't be working on. Let's go find another expired. Here's an expired here, 24 Belmont. That hasn't gotten relisted with anyone else either. That expired in 23, so that's 3 years old, but they still might be thinking of selling. It hasn't gotten resold or hasn't gotten relisted. Now here's one that you couldn't do. That's what we want to keep you away from. The one you couldn't do is 9 Bright, because you can see 9 Bright expired, but it's active again. And so this active one, that's an active listing agreement, so you're not allowed to go after that. But you certainly could go after this one up here, 24 Belmont, because there's no other active or no other closed or anything else that would preclude you from chasing that specific person. And again, you can use some system to try to find a phone number. If you can't find a phone number, there's other things you can do. And the worst you could do is just go knock on the door. Here's another one you could work on, in this 13 Caroline Drive. It expired in 22, so it's a long-term expired. but it never relisted. And so you could certainly, see if you can contact them, knock on the door, send them a letter, talk to their neighbors, whatever you think you could do to potentially maybe get them to decide they want to sell. And I got to tell you, we're near the peak of the market. So if I was going to somebody's house and telling them that they should try to sell, we're really at the peak of the market. They might want to think that they really want to try to sell. Here is another one that I think is very interesting as you work down the list, 17 Center Street, because it expired twice back in 23. These people really wanted to sell, but for whatever reason, they didn't sell. Now, their house is going to be worth a whole lot more money now than it was in 23. So it might be a good time to go and talk to them and say, hey, you guys didn't sell back in 23. Do you want to sell now? Here's another one, 12 Clinton Street, that you will not go after because it expired on 2025. You can see it right here. It's expired on 25. But it closed on 26. So that means it expired with one broker and it went, let's see if that happened. Let's just see if that happened, if it has two different brokers. So it expired here on 25. The listing agent was George Russ. It expired in 25, and then it closed in 26. So the same agent got the listing back again. So again, maybe things didn't work out, but they still gave him another chance. But again, that's not one you could chase because it's already closed. Come down here, we got 38 Constitution Way that expired in 2024. That hasn't been relisted again. This is another one that you can go after. Next one down is 9 Daly. It's only listed once. You could go after 9 Daly. The next one down is 5 David. 5 David is another one. Was listed once and then expired and then listed again. Let's check this one out and see what happened here. This was listed by Orlando Galendez the first time and by him the second time. So sometimes agents let things expire and then redo them again in order to get a new count on the days on market. But sometimes it doesn't sell the first time and the people don't like them enough to do it the second time. Let's see what else we got down here. 19 Frenson Avenue expired just recently, 131.26. It's not relisted again. That's one to go after. 36 Garden Street expired in 24. 39 Garwood expired in 25. All ones you could go after. 68 George expired in 25. 104 George expired in 25. 104 George did get relisted again. Let's look at that one. Here's 104 George. Carl Sanfilippo listed it the first time. And Ryan Canab listed it the second time. So here's an example of exactly what you're looking for. The first agent failed to sell it. And what happens, it got listed with the second agent in a different company, and they sold it. So that's exactly what you're looking for when you're going after expireds. So I hope that gives you an idea of how to work expireds. Again, how do you find these people's addresses, their phone numbers, their email addresses? There's ways you can do it. There's ways you can pay certain services to do it. You can do the searches yourself. I always find that if you're working in a town and you're talking about working just South River as your main town, just go knock on the door, knock on the neighbor's door, leave a note, send a handwritten note, try to catch them at home. All things that are certainly possible. And again, the ones that are 4 or 5 years old, just think about this. Their house has probably doubled in value. And so now you're going to go back to them and say, hey, you didn't sell your house 4 years ago. Now it's worth twice as much. You got twice as much equity. So there's a good opportunity here for you to put your home on the market. That's enough for tonight. That's a long Zoom call. I hope it is some help to you. I'll send you some more training videos later. Again, this is a raw thing. I haven't edited this or polished this up. We're working on it. When we get it really polished up, I'll send you more of it or send you another copy. I'm going to send you this copy now, but this isn't the finished product. I just wanted to get you something quickly, and I'll send you some more resources and see what you can do. All right. I think that you'll be able to make some money. Just you have an idea of which direction to go. Did you notice tonight we only talked about listings? And listen, listings are king. You will have a much better real estate life if you're really good at listings. It's not as much fun as working with buyers, but you spend an average of 8 hours once you get a listing working on the listing. Buyers, you spend an average of 80 hours on, and you get paid the same amount of money. So again, I'm really listing centric. We'll give you some tips later on exactly how to work with buyers, but let's just see if you can push forward on some listings. What if you get lucky and somebody says, "Come over and list my house"? Don't get scared. Worst case is you just call me and I'll go with you on your first appointment. I don't charge you for it. It doesn't hurt your commission. I'll go with you. I don't make you look like you're brand new and make it look like I'm your boss and I'm just very interested in seeing the listing. What about the paperwork? Lee can do the paperwork from memory. We usually send our listing agreements by transaction desk. You do that once or twice, you'll know how to do it. It's really simple. The paperwork's not that hard. And if you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. All right, that's enough for tonight. Hope you guys have a happy Father's Day tomorrow. And I'll send you some more stuff in the next day or so. Thanks a lot. And good night.